Go. How's everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'd like to talk to you today about a thing that's pretty important to find out for myself as a 40-year-old gamer. And it's going to talk about Activision, and I'm sure there's other games that use it. I just don't play those games, so I really don't know how to compare it. I played Call of Duty for quite a few years. I'm not saying I played as long as other people. I played before there was Warzone, which Warzone's my favorite, obviously. If anybody watches the channel or knows me, knows that. But I stopped buying Activision games after the first Warzone because of what I've kind of studied and found out here. I'm not saying I'm an expert by any means, and some of the stuff I might be wrong on. And that's what this is about, is you guys maybe educate me as much as maybe I'm trying to get you guys to go educate yourself. And that's all this channel's about, is getting opinions out there. And that doesn't mean my opinion's right, and it doesn't mean that anybody should listen to me, and it doesn't mean that you can't go out and figure it out for yourself. But what I'm saying is what I've noticed for myself is a huge thing. I'm gonna show some slides here in a minute that you can go and do the research yourself. You'll see you'll see the websites that we bring up on the page. But it's changed the way I look at gaming. We're being told that we have the best thing when it comes to skill-based matchmaking, and in theory, from what I understand, and we'll get into what the definition of that is here in a little bit, is that from what I understand and what I've researched, is skill-based matchmaking is you take people's skill level. If you have a good kill-death ratio, you're going to be, of say 2.0, you're going to be grouped with people of maybe a 2.0 and maybe a little bit above that and a little bit below it, to make it a skill gap to where you can still learn to try to be better, and you can be really good, but you should be consistent gaming, and you should average out to be same. So we play 100 games, and you should have a 2.0 kill death ratio in that. So if you kill 10 people, you should die 5 times. You should die 2.5 times. Whatever it is. I'm not sure about the math, but 5 times. Yeah, it'd be 10 wins or 10 kills to 5 deaths. That's 2 to 1. 5 times 2 is 10. So that was simple math that I fucked up on. But that doesn't seem to always be the case. And I think the reason why is that after my doing some research and finding stuff, is there's a new thing out there called engagement-based matchmaking. I'll show you a study here that was done on an EA sports game. It doesn't give you the name of the game, but we can all assume if you know EA, what they produce, you can figure out probably what game they use. It's their most popular game, and I'm not going to mention that game his name in this and say this is what they use, because it doesn't say that. It just says in a popular EA game. What does that mean? It means that obviously there's a reason why they're trying to figure out skill-based matchmaking, and it's not for you. It's not for me as a consumer. And I understand their business, and I'm not saying that it's not okay for them to do this at all, because they're a business. They need to make money, but do they need to take and figure out that these ways of getting us to do two things: be more engaged in the game? Maybe so. I don't agree with it. I think I personally would be more engaged, and I'm not saying I'm a psychologist or I'm a study and understand that, but they're using computer predictions to predict human behaviors, which I'm not a scientist. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that actually works. I would like to think that I break that mold at least, and I think most of you do. Break that mold of thinking, I'm engaged with the game because I feel it's fair or feel it's right. And we'll cover cheating and other topics on that and another thing. But, when you get a bunch of cheaters or what you feel is cheaters, and this game is plagued with cheaters, Warzone, and I don't know what the real problem is, and we'll get some statistics in that in another video. But the point is I, as a consumer, feel that there's a big cheating problem. And I'm not saying it's big streamers are cheating. I'm not saying it's guys like me. I can tell you right now that cheating happens and it's not detectable. I've done research. I've done things to prove that, and maybe we'll put some of that up on a video. And other people in other channels have done the same things. Is go to show that their anti cheats don't always work. So, what does that mean for everybody? Cheaters don't make me more engaged. It pisses me off. I keep playing the game because I love the game. They've made, especially this new map, they've come back and redeemed themselves for me. I stopped playing. I didn't play Caldera I thought it sucked. I came back and played a little bit of the the one that came after that, and I can't the one they just had, Modern Warfare 2. But I felt it was a little bit better than Caldera, but I feel it really sucked. I felt it was very hard to win. I've won 75 matches on Verdansk, and I didn't come close to that. And I didn't even play Caldera because I was irritated with the direction they were going with the things they were trying to change, and I felt they were tailoring it to the wrong group of people. But that was a personal stance. I came back when the new one came out because I had some friends that wanted to play, and it was good. But over that time period that I was there, I got, and we can look up the statistics later, but I want to say around 20, 25 wins. So I was a quarter as good as I was in Verdansk. And Verdansk was when I really started playing video games a lot. You would think that I would get better with time. Maybe you don't. But that's how I kind of look at it. So I think, and then this new game comes out, and I've already got, I think, 10 or 11 wins. So I'm on pace to, if, in the first month, if I'm on 10 wins, that should be around 120. I'm not saying it's going to happen that way, but that's the average of, if I'm averaging 10 wins a month, you get 120 a year. Maybe it'll just, it won't be like that at the beginning. And I have a way to, I kind of feel that this won't be that way. And so we'll go into that. I'm going to switch over to a new screen so you can see my screen, and you can read these just with me. And this is what this show is about for today, or this episode is about today, is skill-based matchmaking. And I just want to show you this. It says, so we're going to switch over here to this. And hey, Lady J, I see you're watching. Anybody else that's watching, can you still hear me when I switched over to this screen? If you would let me know, I would appreciate that. I know it's a delay, so it's sorry about that too. There's a delay, and I'm not smart enough to figure out how to get the delay out of there. So can you just respond on there, Lady J, if you can hear me? Sorry for the dead airspace, but I'm trying to just make sure you guys can hear me. Yep, hear you. So, well, I appreciate the fact that you guys have stuck with the video this long, but this is, right here from the internet. It's at PC Gamer, /Activision. It says Activision wins patent to uses matchmaking to make you want to buy stuff. So right here, they're admitting they're not, but the PC Gamer is saying, hey, they won a patent that says we're not worried about skill-based matchmaking. We're not worried about matchmaking for this. We're worried about matchmaking to make money. They're a business. Get it. No problem. But what does that mean? So we'll go down here and read this. It says Activision has successfully filed a patent design and won. I just want to make sure that they won. They filed it, and then they won this patent. It's theirs. A patent designed for use in multiplayer matchmaking systems. In short, it is an idea to engender envy at teammates or opponents' gear through matchmaking algorithms itself. So what it's saying is they're gonna team you with things that are gonna make you jealous. They're getting at your psych. Now we're going to get into psychology and the studies that they do in the behind the scenes that say what is going to make a person. Now you got to remember that people play this game all the way down to the, probably 5-6 years old. We've seen streamers that are come in and be that young, all the way up to my mom plays it sometimes. She's in their 60s. So who's it tailored to? I don't know. I would assume it's tailored towards the younger generation that they see. That they're probably the ones spending the most money because they're they go to their parents and ask for all this stuff. Or they're tailoring it to guys like me who have the money and do it. And, I used to buy a lot of stuff, and I'm sure if you talk to my wife, she didn't like that fact. But I did, and I've stopped. And it's because of this. If I buy something, I don't want them putting me in lobbies that's pushing to buy another person something. I want to buy because I want to buy. So going back to it, says the algorithm itself is not so much about skill-based matchmaking per se as it is to putting you with people who have the stuff that maybe they feel you are by the way you play, by the things that you have bought in the past, or by guns that everybody knows about the meta. Then they're releasing these metas with these cool skins, and then you're like, oh man, this guy didn't have to grind it out to get this gun, so now I'm going to go buy it so I can compete with this guy. That's the things that they're doing, and it is a business. I want to keep it irritating. I'm not saying that they're doing anything illegal, that they're doing anything wrong, but it's a business model that I think that we could change by getting together as a community, which I know that's hard to do, and say, it's not about that. If we're going to have guns, let's make the guns within a relative amount of each other. One-shot sniper is not something I agree with. I understand plenty of people do, and I'm not having that debate. It's in the game. It's fair, whatever. But you're telling me 3 shots to the head with an SMG ain't going to kill someone as fast as a one-shot sniper? You're a fucking idiot. But that's not the way it is. You can unload a clip into a guy of an SMG 10 feet away, and it doesn't kill him, but you can shoot someone at 400 yards with one-shot sniper, and it's going to kill you. So where's the fairness in that? So we'll go back to this. Here's the abstract of the patent. Guaranteed today after its filing 2 years ago. So this was filed, this article was written in 2017. They filed the patent then obviously in 2015. A system and method is provided that drives microtransaction in multiplayer video games. The system may include a microtransaction, arrange matches to influence game-related purchases. So in this patent, and I don't have the patent, and there is a way to get the patent and read it for yourself. I didn't do that. I'm going off of what PC Gamer has put in their article, and obviously it's been out for 6 years now. So obviously no one has disputed it or disputed it or whatever the hell the word is saying that they're more worried about you spending money than they are about making fair games. It's right there in the patent, and it says, for instance, the system may match more experienced marquee players with a junior player, which means a guy like me that's got a 1.1, 1.0, and sometimes lower than that. They're going to put me with a guy with a 2.0, and so I can see what his skins are. And I have noticed that there's some cool skins out there by doing that, but that's not the engagement I'm thinking they're talking about. They're going to put kids with guys that are professional. I don't want to name any names, but and they're going to see that they're using these skins, and they might have unlocked the guns 100% by grinding, but they're seeing that they bought the skin and it has the gun that they think is the best meta or whatever, so they're going to go purchase it. I don't feel that's 100% right. Just about transactions, how many billions of dollars are they making off the game? I don't know those numbers. I know they make a lot of money. They make in the $3 billion profit range, and there's a lot of microtransactions that go with that. If you take the transactions away, I can't. I don't know if there's a way to find that out. I just don't know that. It says a junior player may wish to emulate the marquee player, which is the more advanced player, the better player, by obtaining weapons and other items used by the marquee player, which is pretty much what I just stated. A big caveat to Activision spokesman telling this via email today is this was an exploratory patent filed in 2015 by a research and development team working independently from our gaming studios. Do you really buy that bullshit from them? You're telling me that they're going to spend money on research? I was an airplane mechanic, worked in the airlines 20 years, and I can tell you right now, in that industry, you don't spend money on research and development just to shit it down the drain and hope it works. Now, there's things that you research and development doesn't work, so you go a different direction. That's not what any of this is saying. It didn't say it didn't work. He didn't come out and say, hey, we developed this 2 years ago. So he has the answers whether they're using it or not. He's just not going to answer it. Not to be implemented again. Why would you invest money into a research and development plan that you had no plan putting into your gaming system, which is where you make money? I mean, that's how stupid these people think that all of us are that play games. I don't understand why, people come out and lie like that. Why not just say, yes, we're doing that. We want to make more money. I would have more respect, not saying everybody would, just to be honest with people. In business, and there's a business book you can go out and read. It's called The Great Game of Business. This guy figured out, and I'm not, the years don't matter, but just say the 80s, maybe the 70s, 60s, I don't remember, but that if you were more transparent as a company owner with how much you make, the profit, and the problems you're having, then your employees were more engaged and more willing to work harder and help you, because they knew the true struggles or they knew the true success of the business. And a lot of models are like that. Now, any public company is traded that you can go and get their financials and you can find out what their CEO makes, what this makes. If you're a public education teacher, it's published in the paper every year. So there's ways to find out what certain people make. But there's, for a majority of the study is this Great Game of Business was the more transparent you are with people that work for you, the better off you are. So I would think that would carry over, and like I said, I'm not a psychologist. The more transparent they are, the better as a consumer we have to say, okay, I'm going to make a stance on this, and I'm not doing that because I don't agree with this. But it sounds like a bunch of manipulation to me. But that's just my opinion. Knowing that, this probably isn't a scheme that Activision will suddenly implement in Destiny 2, which is the game that was coming out at the time, or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. This is the opinion of the guy writing the article. So he's saying no, but I can say Verdansk, I don't feel this happened. This is when it all started to come through. For me, I've always had maybe some stuff that I can't remember that you could buy. But really, when I started noticing a bunch of skins coming out in the game, and someone will correct me, I'm sure, was Verdansk. And like I said, I'm not a big gamer, so that could be wrong. But I think it's in the game now. I think it's a very important part of the game, and I think it's a big part of their algorithm is to push microtransactions. But that's just my opinion. Here's the bit of microtransaction matchmaking detailed later on. The microtransaction engine may analyze various items used by marquee players, which is the best. And today, there's more streamers today that are legit players that grind out the guns. Like I said, I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not going to say anything. But get on Twitch, get on YouTube. You'll see who the marquee players are that grind and play this game as a career. I don't have that luxury. I'm not good enough, and that's awesome. And this channel probably will never be that great. I'm doing this just as something to do, pass my time as an older gentleman, and hopefully some of you listen. But I do have some streamers I really love watching, and when they suggest something, I go and grind it out. I don't play the multiplayer because, like I said, I stopped giving Activision money. I will not spend one single dime on Activision. Even with the free coins I have that are there, I don't spend them. I don't want any engagement with that because I feel the more engagement I give them, the shittier my experience is. And I've also noticed now that I have stopped spending money, maybe my games aren't always where they were before. And that's maybe a little placebo effect, I don't know. It says microtransaction engine may analyze various items by marquee players. If the items are being promoted for sale, match the marquee player with another player, a junior player. That does not use or own the item. Similarly, the microtransaction engine may identify items to be promoted, identifying marquee players that use those items. So what they're saying is that they have something that they really want to promote, and if you look at the store, there's always one that's way more expensive and has way better guns, say, in the store. And then when I know for a fact, I did the research in a small 10 game period, I saw more of those skins in those games when they first come out of the store. You're seeing them all the time. And I'm not saying that's everybody's experience. I'm saying that's my experience. Make this judgment for yourself. Look at the day that something comes out in the store, then look how many people are using that skin, including yourself. And spend your money any way you want to. This is not about telling you how to be financially responsible. I don't really give a shit how you spend your money. I'm just trying to educate people on what's going on, because a lot of people say, skill-based matchmaking sucks. I don't think they're using it skill-based matchmaking in the traditional sense of skill-based matchmaking. They're using this with another algorithm we'll get into in a minute. The patent goes on to explain many possible implications of the microtransaction-based matchmaking system. And again, we're going to go back to the patent. Why would you make a patent that you're not going to use? I just do not believe that. It says, this idea is troubling for a fusion. Firstly, loot boxes are a transparent enough effort to make more money once a game has been released. Layering the invisible psychological ploys, the lust to obtain a higher class transponded into silly character skins and the like, in corporate interest at its most ruthless. And I agree with that. I believe that this is corporate greed, trying to milk every penny out of every player, and mainly young people under the age of, I'm going to say 16, because I think at 16 you kind of have, maybe you work, you have your own money, spend it the way you want. But under 16 years old, it's getting you to go to your parents, or how many times have you heard of people using their parents' credit card without actually telling them, and then there's thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars racked up on that because in-game transactions are what they want. They want to look like their buddy. Oh, their buddy got this or whatever. And it is very troublesome that this is happening. And I don't have the answers to fix it. I think as a gaming community, we need to. Then we'll go on from there. It says, this said, plenty of ridiculous, insidious patents have been filed before, only to sit idle. McDonald's patented to turn TV ads into video games. For instance, there's no evidence that a patent is currently in practice or will ever be in practice. So there are, I guess, examples that they're giving that they don't do this, for different things. But we also know that maybe they had that patent, and then when they did their studies, that patent didn't work, and it's one of those examples of it didn't work. I believe this patent is actually working tremendously because track the progress of microtransactions, look at their year after year, profits. So that's just my opinion again. Destiny 2 community manager DJ came out immediately against Galexel's report, stating that none of Activision's patent technologies appears in Destiny. He clarified that also means Destiny 2. I played Destiny. I'm not a big Destiny player. I didn't like the game. I didn't like its mechanics, and I didn't play a lot. But I did play Destiny. I did play Destiny 2. And people who play with me know that they wanted me to play, and I just didn't like the game. So I can't say that this happened. I'm speaking about their number one game, Call of Duty. So that's this. The second thing we're going to talk about is this engagement-based matchmaking, which is a similar style of study for engaging gamblers to keep gambling, to pump more money into a slot machine or to pump more money into a table game. Table games are a little harder to do because there's statistics that go with it. There's, you're using set numbers. Slot machines is where this is used a lot. Engagement, I'm not going to say matchmaking because you're not matching, it's not a game, but it's an engagement-based payout. And that's, you can look those facts up. I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to promote gambling. I don't want to put that on my channel. I'm just saying, as this goes on in the gambling world, it's a proven fact that they pay out just enough to keep you engaged. If you lost every single time you spun a wheel at a slot machine, but when you hit the jackpot, no one would stay there and they wouldn't pump hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars into a slot machine. It's been proven. It's legal. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong about it. So we're going to go over this, and I hope everybody's keeping track. This is engagement optimization matchmaking framework. This is a study done by these guys. I don't want to pronounce their names. You can read them right here. They're on the screen. Northeast University, Electronics Arts, so EA Arts. EA had people willing to do this. This is a study that they allowed to happen with the thing. So you can read this. You can get on here. You can find it. Just type this exact thing into Google. It'll pull up this document. I'm just going to go over some highlights. The first thing I want to bring up is I put these notes in there. I looked it up. I put the notes in there so I don't have one document instead of switching them back and forth to you. First thing we need to do is understand what skill-based matchmaking is. At the simplest terms, how does skill-based matchmaking work? I know there's going to be people that attack me and say, hey, you're not being truthful, you're not being this, you're not being that. I'm telling you, at the basic level of skill-based matchmaking, this is how it works. It's a fact. Look it up. There might be more to it. There might be less to it. But the overall base lining is this. Skill-based matchmaking works by matching players together based on their gaming ability or gaming skills. And the idea behind this matchmaking will create fair matches by pairing people. And I remember playing, Call of Duty, just the multiplayer before Warzone come out, and you would play a game and you would consistently get 15, 20, not you, me. I consistently get 15, 20 games. I played with certain people that, my brother Matthew, he's younger, he's a better gamer. He'd get 25, 30 kills, and then we'd play against some of his friends that they would get 45, 50 kills, but it was on a consistent basis. Now, as you're in a group, it messes with that. The higher skilled player you have on your team, it's obviously going to bring some other higher players in there. But overall, you statistically, over a decent amount of period, had an average of the same amount of kills. You weren't doing 5 kills here, 50 kills here. So that's what skill-based matchmaking is. The idea behind it is, like I said, is to create fair matches by pairing players of similar levels of skills and experience. Now, when you're playing a team-based game, that's 1v1. Skill-based matchmaking, it only works properly when it's a 1v1 situation because it's my skill versus your skill, 1v1. When you start adding 2 people, now you have, unless you have 2 people with exact same skill levels, there's going to be some variation. You might, but it should still all average out in the end. So as you go 3-on-3, it gets different. And this ain't a math class. We ain't going to go through all the math. I'm sure one of you nerds out there that want to figure it out can figure it out and put it on here. And I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying I'm not that kind of nerd. I'm not a math geek. And in theory, this should make matches, balanced game, with everyone has a chance to win. In theory. Now, that's 1v1, it does. There could be no dispute. If you have two equal players, 50% of the time they should win, 50% of the time I should win. That's a fact. When you start putting two people in there, that's when the statistics and the stuff theoretically cannot be possible. But a long enough games, you should average, at least your kills should be, not saying your wins will be, because somebody might have there's skill that goes with your controller, mouse and keyboard. There's all that stuff, but you know if you're skilled against a 2 kill death ratio to a 2 kill death ratio team, and the average is 2.5, when you average all their team scores, it should be around that over, say, 100 games. You can't take 2 games and say, well, it didn't work. It's just like when you play blackjack, and I'm going back to this because this is what this is based on, is blackjack is a statistic game. If you hit on 16 or you stand on 16, if you only go with 2 hands and you lose both of them, you're going to say, oh, well, you never win by standing on 16. No, over 100 games, if you statistically stay the same, you never hit on a 16, over 100 games, you should be you should have lost 50% of them and you should have won 50% of them. It's a 50-50 hand. That's why they call it a 50-50 hand. Now, like I said, I'm just comparing that to that. I'm not promoting gambling at all. It's just an easy way to say it. Now, with a slot machine, it's an engagement. They want how many times do they have to pay you out, and how do they know that? By tracking how many people sit down at that machine, and that's what those little fancy cards that they give you at a casino, they put it in there. They can register. Okay, this is a new player. If 2 people come up to a slot machine that doesn't have a card, they don't know that it was 2 different people put in that. Someone could have just been talking to somebody. So it's based off of player cards. That's how they track everything. That's how they know. And that's why player cards are so important. That's why they give you all these rewards, free comps, free stuff. In gaming, they don't give you free comps, but they'll give you free little trinkets, right? They give you these little boxes, that you get a little. I mean, they're kind of cool sometimes, they're free, and you hang them on your gun, and there's some cool ones. I put them on mine. That's their trinkets they give you. They know who you are by logging into your account. So that's what skill-based matchmaking is at the base level. This is taking it one step further and saying skill-based matchmaking doesn't work when you get to a certain point, because now you're losing. If you're losing a small percentage of your players, you're always going to lose people. People don't play the game all the time. There's nobody that plays 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they're saying that to get the most engagement out of the people who do stay online, or to keep them on a little longer, you need to do this. It says, these are some of the highlights in this. And please, look it up yourself. You can read all about it. It's a fact. In this paper, we promote a new matchmaking framework. Engagement optimization matchmaking. By formulating matchmaking into an optimization, and I want to make sure you understand, optimization means how many times can they get you to lose before you leave. Not how many times can you win. It's how many times can you lose and keep you engaged in the game. So we pair players in order to maximize the overall player engagement. Art equivalently minimizes the overall player disengagement. So what they're saying, like I just said, is how many times can you lose or do shitty before you disengage with the game. Once you disengage with the game, what do you stop doing? You stop playing it. So now anybody that understands how the gaming world works, the more people that are engaged in the game, the more money that they can say that their game is worth, and it goes to their stock prices. If I have 4 billion people, which this is not the numbers they have, you can look up how many players they have on a statistically daily average. I think it's around 250, 300,000 any one time playing. That's any hour. It's around that. But that if say I had 4 billion people, I'm going to have a game that's worth a company that's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. If I have people playing 2 people per hour, I'm not going to have a very good. My shareholders aren't going to be making money. So it's about engaging that person so they can say, hey, we have 250,000 people at any one time that we can put advertisements onto this, which I don't understand. If they want to make more money, why don't they open this up to some advertisement dollars? Put a Mountain Dew in these. So you're telling me that Mountain Dew wouldn't give you $100 million a year? $100 million? I guarantee Mountain Dew or Pepsi, if it's Pepsi, to put a Mountain Dew in their bottle because they're getting 250,000 people to play this game. So why don't they get their money by advertising? And I'm not saying put a commercial in it. I don't want any damn commercials. No one wants commercials in their game. But in-game merchandise, no different than Hollywood does. Hollywood strategically places things and they're going to get paid to. That's why you see shows that have strictly Ford products or strictly Chevrolet products in there. You won't see, unless they're doing like a traffic scene, you'll see all kinds. But when they're driving cars, they're going to have a company that says, hey, we will give you the vehicles to use in the show or we will pay you for it. So they want engagement, they want money, and it's a business, okay? So come down here to this, and this is just statistics down here, and you can read it, understand it. It took me a while to get it to, so I'm not going to try to explain it because it took me a long time to understand it myself. So we'll just go there. It says, for the system development of EOMM is basically flexible, and computationally feasible. The optimization object can be tuned for a variety of interests. Example, in-game time. So now they're looking at your time. Or spending. It says right here. It says in-game time or even spending. So if they're trying to optimize their spending, are we all sitting there? We're all getting pumped into this. It's all about money. It's all about pay to win. And there's maybe some people agree that pay to win is okay. If you have the most money, you're the king of the hill. I mean, that's how capitalists work. I'm a capitalist person. I believe in it. But when it comes to gaming and an enjoyment for the crowd of people and that are buying this, now, I'm not saying that Warzone we're buying. So Warzone, I think, is different than when you actually pay money for a game. If you pay money for a game, why is it about drawing more money out of your pocket? Warzone's free, so I think it's a little bit more fair in Warzone. I don't like it, but that's how I feel. So anyway, and I go down here on spending time. Furthermore, EOMM consists of 3 components: a skill model, a churn prediction model, and a graph matching model. So now you're going to say, hey, David, what's a churn? So we got to go down here where I put this little note down here because I knew, where did I put that other note? Right here. I did put it in here. So I put this little note in here. The basics of a churn prediction, and this is at the basic level, I'm not saying this is exactly what they use. It means detecting which customers are likely to leave a service or to cancel a subscription or a service. This is what Netflix uses. This is what any other subscription-based service uses. They use a model like this. It is critical prediction for many businesses because acquiring new clients often costs more than retaining existing ones. So if you don't understand what that's saying is, they have to use this system because they know in order to go out and get the same 5 customers they just lost is significantly more costly than keeping you coming back. I keep coming back to Warzone. I'm the guy that they're saying they're doing something to keep engaging me, because to get me to go and play that game to begin with was expensive, and that's a fact. It says it right there. So that's what it is. Is how much can they take before you leave and they lost you as a customer? Now they got to regain you. So that's that. All can be efficiently implemented and independently upgraded. It means any one of those things you can twist the numbers to do what you need to do. That's what it's saying. We built a simulated system, which just means none of this is 100% saying fact. This is where I'm going back to that. It's computer simulated. That doesn't mean that the psychology works for every person. They're saying the majority of players are going to be falling in this category, and this is how you're going to make your money. There's always outliners in any equation. We built a simulated system based on real data of a popular game made by EA or Electronic Arts, showing the significant improvement and enhanced player engagement by EOMM against equal skill-based and other matchmaking methods, which we've already covered. The churn prediction and skill-based matchmaking, and we're going to cover that here in a little bit. It says, in the sum, the paper contains the following contributions. First, we propose that engagement optimization matchmaking framework, example EOMM, which solves matchmaking as an optimized problem of maximizing the overall player's engagement. So, this system is about engagement, not about skill. And if you play a lot of Warzone or you play a lot of Call of Duty, I would think you would start to agree that it's not about skill sometimes. It's about engaging. Everybody wants to do better, so when you have a shitty game, you want to play more. and I'm not saying I disagree with that, but if this true skill-based matchmaking was made, I think overall people would be happier because you'd be playing against people of your own caliber. It'd be fun. Or even going back to before all this was used, where you might have that guy that's going to shit on everybody and gets 50 kills, and there's a guy that's going to get 0, but you're not going to retain that 0 person. So I understand a little bit of using this to an extent, but how far are they taking it? No one knows. No, they don't have to release this stuff to us. They don't even want to talk about skill-based matchmaking. Maybe that will change with the new regime. Maybe it won't. Yes, exactly. Next time it'll be better. That's a good another episode, Lady J. That but that is part of engagement. Hey, sorry, we made a bunch of mistakes on this game. We're making it better on the next one. So keep engaged and see what we do. You're 100% right on that. I like that. It says, last we built a simulated system using real game data to show significant advantages of EOM and retaining players over the existing matchmaking methods. So what they're saying is they did the study that shows that they used simulations on all these different methods, and they're in there. You can read them about yourself. And I'll show you the graph here in a minute, is EOMM retained the most amount of players in any game mode. So it's about money. More players you have playing, the more likely you're going to spend microtransactions. It's all about money, which is fine. It's a business. But we as consumers should be able to control what they're doing, in my opinion. And the reason why we don't is because we don't get together and stop letting them... First of all, why are they putting out shitty video games? Why are we okay? Not me. I'm not okay with it. I'm not even going to say we. I'm going to say, why are you dumb shits willing to put up with a game that sucks because they didn't get the game correct? You're telling me a company that makes $3 billion can't make a game that doesn't have stupid bugs? I can understand that you're not going to find everything. There's going to be things in the map that are wrong, but I'm talking about stupid, obvious, we should have found this on day one kind of shit. That is you as a dumbass consumer allowing that to happen. And I don't care if you get your feelings hurt about that one. Really don't. You're an idiot. Spend your money on some of that. Why don't you go buy a car that don't fucking run? That's like saying, oh, it's okay, my engine blew on my car, I'll just go buy another one. It's a brand new model. Shit happens. You wouldn't accept that from a car manufacturer. And yes, I understand. Dave, cars are a little different than video games. You're not really spending a lot of money like you do on your car. It's still the fact of why you letting a company provide a product that we're all, you guys are paying for. I stopped paying for it. When I have a shitty game, I stop paying for them. If they're going to put out shitty, I wait for after the reviews. And then go play the game. So I'm not these day one people. I'm tired of getting video games, and it's not just Call of Duty. You have, I can't remember the Viking game that came out for. Anyway, there's a Viking game out there that came out with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I got stuck in the map, 5 or 6 different places, and it was just happening to a few people, and it pissed me off. So I stopped playing. Never played it. Played it for 5 days with some buddies. Stopped playing it. Never touched the game again. Yeah, I bought it. So you know what? I've never bought an Assassin's Creed game since, and I never will. That's just me. That's the way I am as a consumer. But anyway, the motivation behind skill rating is rank players and enable skill-based matchmaking. Dating back, this is 1952. I don't know what video games were out in 1952. I wasn't born in 1952. I wasn't around in 1952. But this model's been around since 1952. So there was some kind of gaming going on, or they were using this for some other thing. Deal to represent pairwise I hate when they comparisons. Sorry, I'm not the best reader. Among the group of subjects. In the Bradley-Terry model, a player I, which is in the mathematical equation, that's what it is assumed to have a fixed position skill in the fixed skill scalar. That means, and it's a fact, I am not ever going to compete with a professional gamer. I'm not. None of them. No names mentioned. But I'm never going to compete with them. It's fun when they come in the lobbies because it's just it's like a nostalgia thing. Hey, I just got killed by this awesome person. It's no different than meeting a movie star. It's cool. I agree with that, Lady J. You should not be based on amount of money you spend. It should be based on the better player, which is true. I agree with that 100%. And it says, player I is assumed to have a fixed position scalar. And the winning probability of a player I against player J is the ratio of the player's skill and the sum of the skills of both players. So it's if you do the mathematics and it's in there, you should be able to win with this percentage of based on skill level. If you have the exact same skill, 50-50. If that guy's 10% better, it should be 10% better. It goes on like that. Read the thing, do your research yourself, come up with your own opinions, come back and argue with me. I'd love it. So this goes down to matchmaking strategies. There has been much research ensuring physical criteria of matchmaking services such as network connection quality. So what they're saying is there's plenty of studies that have been done with they can even pair you based on your internet speed. Do they do that? No, because there's times I have them there. I'm at 100 ping and a guy's got 10 ping. You guys all have it, but they have the capabilities, and I'm not saying it's feasible because it costs them more money. I understand that there's not everything I'm saying is not feasible, that a business model doesn't work that way. I get it, but I'm saying they could do that if they know people are getting 100 millisecond ping. They should put more of those players into one lobby. I don't know if they're doing it or not. Do you? If you don't, maybe we should all know more. And I know I keep looking at this screen. I apologize. Another camera's over here. I have some other things open in here that I'm going on. That's where the chat's at and stuff like that. So I apologize if you're upset that I don't look into the camera a lot. Besides, physical matchmaking can be seen as a player modeling technique that extracts players' information and delivers an adaptive game experience. Adaptive. Go look up that word. I'm not going to pull it up here, but go look up what adaptive game experience means. It's definitely not engagement. So maybe you should know the difference. And then it goes on to say, I can't pronounce this dude's name, but that's it. Proposed to train a neutral network-based architecture which predicts players' enjoyment based on their historic statistics. They measured enjoyment by directly asking players for feedback after each match. So they actually had a group of people come in, play the game, and say, what did you enjoy, what did you not enjoy? And every one of them did a little survey. Whether or not this method can effectively collect sufficient feedback has not been determined with real data. So what they're saying is they don't have the data to say that what they did in this study of measuring it with actual people is probably not the most accurate because their sample size is only so big. Computer-based models are more predictable for the masses, if that makes sense. So here it goes. Player engagement prediction. Player engagements can be seen as an objective measure of users' experience in games. So the better experience you have, the more money you're willing to spend. Player engagement can be embodied by many specific metrics such as time or money spent in the game. Oh man, what does Dave keep saying? Right here, it admits it. It says player engagement can be embodied by many specific metrics such as time and money. Time equals money. Nobody goes to work for 8 hours and wants to get paid for 4. The more you're there, the more you want to get, paid for those hours. Same with gaming. Which is okay, it's a business. I'm going to keep saying that because I hope it pisses you guys off that I keep saying it, because I don't think businesses have the right to do things just because that's what's best for them. They also are providing a service and a product to us as consumers. And no, not everybody's going to agree with everything they do. I've watched other people's podcasts. There's some big streamers that aren't happy with skill-based matchmaking. I'm not happy with skill-based matchmaking, and I'm a shit player. I'm not good. But anyway, it says time spent in the game or money spent in the game, and the number of matches played within the time window. So if you an hour, they did a study, 2 hours, whatever. I think it was 8 hours is what they did, and it's later on in the study. They did 8-hour windows of how much time people spent on an 8 hour if you're on for 8 hours. We define the chunk risk as the proportion of the total players stop playing the game over a period of time, which we've already went through what the churn risk was. Churn risk is how many players are engaged. And then we'll skip a couple paragraphs. You can read it the rest of it if you want. It says they also use the model to aid gaming design by identifying the most influential features or player retention. If they take slide canceling out of the game, how many people stop playing the game? It came back, so it was obviously something they could track, because why would you put something back? You're telling me, it's because a few people got together at the Warzone, pre-beta shit that all these fancy people got to go and they bitched about it. They get it. You're telling me a handful of people that are they got a lot of viewers, they got a lot of things, they can sell a lot of games, but I don't think that's the reason. That it was statistically shown that a position of the slide canceling made people go play other games, or they wouldn't have brought it back. But it's a perfect example of how this can sit there and say the features they put in the game makes a direct correlation to whether or not you play the game or not. And slide canceling is awesome. Movement is awesome. I love it. I suck, but I love it. So anyway, this new, and I want to give EA not EA. Sorry, this is what this study is. I want to give Activision the credit that they built a better game. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's more engaging. It's more fun. It's more fluid. It feels more real. They need to fix their guns. This bullshit of meta, and this is my opinion. Yes, you should have maybe one or two guns that maybe kill with one bullet faster. But these one-shot sniper bullshit, and then having to take a whole clip of the piece of shit gun down the bottom is stupid. Why are these guns so far out of caliber with reality if you're going to make a one-shot sniper? And I understand not all snipers are one-shot, but why not? A sniper is a sniper. Now, I can understand it being one shot within 100 meters, 200 meters, 300. There are guns built in the real world that are more accurate and are better, longer range of shoots. That makes sense. But why isn't any sniper rifle you pick up a one shot within 100 meters? There is not a sniper rifle in the world that wouldn't kill you in a headshot at 100 meters. So, that's another story, but... They also use this model to aid gaming by identifying the most influential features, which you talked about. So, in EBMM, we employ churn prediction as an important building component in the engagement optimization. So they use the churn, just like it's been used in many things before, but they're optimizing it and saying, we're going to use that as a way to predict more things. Graph matching, you can go through that yourself. And then number 3, engagement optimized matchmaking. In this section, we will introduce the EBMM framework, which formulates matchmaking as an optimization problem. So what they're saying is we don't care about your skill. We don't care about this. We care about optimizing the amount of money you spend. Your engagement. Engagement equals dollars. And unless you're a mathematician and can prove me wrong, because I understand I'm not the smartest dude in the block, but engagement means more money. So that's what it comes down to, is how much money can they churn out over your happiness with what you're doing. And like I said, Warzone's a free game, so do whatever you want. That doesn't mean you're making, if you make Warzone fixed, I would believe that you fixed your game. I would go back to playing multiplayer. It would be a better, you would make more money for guys like that feel my way. And maybe I'm a small percent, I don't know. Anyway, in contrast with the existing matchmaking method that historically pairs similar skilled co-players, EBMM aims to match players in an optimally way that maximizes overall player engagement. Now, engagement doesn't mean wins. Engagement means you keep coming back. Okay? Plain and simple, figure it out for yourself. Theoretical findings. While equal skill-based methods can perform the worst under certain conditions, random matchmakings will never fall into the worst case. So what they're saying is randomness, having people that are way up here, these, super gods with shit players like me, is never going to be the worst outcome of it. So even going back to that, where you're going to get shit on all the time, is still better than some methods. And it sounds like, to me, it's better than just the skill-based matchmaking, but I can't prove that. But it's saying random matchmaking is not the worst case scenario. So if it's not the worst case, is it closer to the top? They don't tell you that. The analysis above shows that the existing matchmaking methods, such as equal-based and random matchmaking, arise within the EBMM framework. So that means it's arising in this. They're using part of that to come up with it, but it's more about how do they take those pieces and how do they make them work better in engagement. Engagement means money. It's all about money. Practitioners can safely employ EBMM, and practitioners are the game manufacturers, not you and me. Safely apply EBMM while gathering more information about their gameplay and their players. No different than Facebook. Every time you use you talk, me and my wife, we talk about, hey, maybe we need some of this from, to get from the house, and then you get on Facebook and it's every fucking ad. It's the same shit. And then it says the churn prediction model, and then we talked a little bit about this. We trained a logistic regression model for a prediction whether a player will be and this is where the 8-hour churn after a match. The input features describe the upcoming matches in the player's 10 most recent matches. A player is labeled as an 8-hour churner, which is, they program that in there saying, hey, they will stay engaged, they will churn 8 hours. A player is labeled as an 8-hour churner. if they do not play any 1v1 matches within the next 8 hours after playing this match. So, if figure that out yourself. I'm not going to spoon feed everything. As a discussion in Section 3, the term churn is used by convection. It represents stop playing within a period of time, which is a metric of disengagement. Disengagement causes less money. I want you guys to understand disengagement. They want to know how they can optimize your time online to spend money. They give a shit less about you winning games, which is why everybody plays games. And once you understand that, you can stop getting so upset that you lose all the time, because it's not about you winning. It's not about you becoming a better player. It's not about you playing unfairly. It's about how much money they can make. So each player's 10 most recent matches, win, loss, draw status, time passage since the previous match, time passage to the upcoming match, and goal difference. So what they're saying is how much time that you spent in the game, how much time between games, all that stuff. If you get disengaged, say you're waiting for a game for 10 minutes, and you turn the system off, they track that, okay? If you were in a match for 20 minutes and you got off, compared to when you're always on for 10 minutes, and they can make the game speed faster. That's why they took 3 minutes out of the zone. Think about it, guys. It's not fucking rocket science. They shrunk the game down and made it a little bit faster paced because people were disengaging. And I think that maybe, they might do more later on. I don't know. I'm not an expert in any of those fields. When you can use all these statistics model. It says each of the 10 players, win, lose, or draw status was imposed. Upcoming matches. One hot encoding of the upcoming matches outcome, win, lose, draw. It says upcoming matches. One hot encoding of the upcoming match. So they're encoding. Encoding means they know, an encoder on a motor tells you what position that you're on in the 360-degree wheel. So if I take that same word, and maybe I'm wrong, is they're encoding. They're plugging in what they want to get the most engagement. They're encoding you. Each person in this game, and they have 100 players in Warzone, you're encoded into that position of 100, whether you're the shittiest, the most experienced. They're plugging it in for the most engagement. They know what's going to make you the most engaged. That's why if you look at the people who are really good, they don't, there's nobody winning this game all the time, but there's guys that are close, and there's guys that never win. Comparatively, I don't know too many that haven't got wins that play on a consistent basis, but anyway. It says others. The number 1v1 matches played in the last 8 hours, 1 day, 1 week, and 1 month. So they tracked it over a month, over a day, over that stuff, and they figured it out. We use a 5-fold cross validation and the grid search to determine the proper L2 regulations, meaning they graphed it. It says right here, EOM allows one to easily refine and replace the model if a better ones are found. So you can manipulate the numbers to fit what you want your engagement to be. Money, money, money. So right here, it says table 2. This is the table for what they're talking about right here. These are the methods. Worst matchmaking, they engaged on 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. P should equal players. Worst matchmaking was 51.5 engagement. So they retained 51.5% of the players. So 100 players, they kept 51.5. Yes, I know a half player doesn't really work out, but you get what I'm saying. It's a statistic on average. Skill-based matchmaking, 52.52. So in this pool of 100 people, they retained 52.5. On random matchmaking, they made 51.81. On EOMM, they retained 51.91. So out of if you have just a player, 100 players, which is what Warzone is, statistically, skill-based matchmaking should retain the most amount of players. But that's in one game. So over 5 games, the statistics changed. Over 500 players, a 100-player game means 5 games. You retain 261.19 players. It's the highest number in every category except for when you just play one game. If you played one game and you won, you'd play another. That makes sense. But over time, they see the average of what people have. This is the best way to get more money. And if you think about it, let's just do the math right here. We'll pull up the calculator here. So that's, if they have, that's what? Let's just say roughly 261 262.19. Oops. Clear that out. I fucked up. I hope you can see the calculator there. So you take 261.19 minus, just go to the next highest number, which is 259.65. That's 1.54% more effective, okay? Doesn't sound like a lot, okay? So 1.54%. So let's clear that out. Let's say there's 300,000 people on every hour. Take that times 1.54%. Oops, you divide, sorry. So you take 300,000 divided by 1.54%. That means you're retaining that many more players. And maybe that's wrong, and I don't know what I hit. Oh, I do too. I don't know how to get that out of there. Sorry, guys. You're retaining more players by doing that, and it's in a large scale. You know, of 300,000 players, that's a lot of them. The conclusion, and we'll get to the end of this video because we're coming up on an hour here. The conclusion: the paper presents a novel framework to achieve engagement optimization matchmaking. It formulates matchmaking as a problem of maximizing the player engagement and solves the optimization efficiently. EOMM employs three components: a skill model. Sorry about that, guys. A skill model, an engagement prediction model, and a minimum weight perfect match algorithm, each of which can be tailored flexibility for specific application. We ran simulations whose configurations were based on real data from an online PvP, that's player versus player. The result shows that EOMM significantly outperforms all other methods in the number of retaining players. EOMM also provides a theoretical framework for analyzing various matchmaking algorithms. EOMM provides a measurable and flexible matchmaking framework. It has well-defined quantitative objectives that can be monetized, evaluated, and improved. Monitored, not monetized, sorry. Within the EOMM framework, the core building components, skill model, churn model, and graph parallel model are uncoupled so that they can be turned and replaced immediately. Any one of these things. So you have if they see that there's a bunch of players not playing that day, they can go in there immediately and change this so that they get more engagement out of those players. On a good day, they change it to where they don't need as much. They got more players. They can you could win more. You could lose more. Who knows what it actually does? But they're saying it's flexible. Pull it out. It's a math. It's a computer. Boom, 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 boom. Done. Just like this. I could do, just like me going over here and going like this. It's just this fast. Boom. That fast. Didn't take long, did it? So the point of this whole video, and hopefully more people watch it, is: do you want to be a consumer that is based on engagement of spending money, or do we want to have a company who gives us a product that we all want, that we all pay for? I understand Warzone's free. You get the point. The more people who play Warzone, the more people who potentially play the regular multiplayer game, and they're going to make more money. But we, as a gaming group, will not sit there and agree on anything. But yet, most people play complain, skill-based matchmaking sucks. Maybe you should educate yourself and understand it's not about skills. Not one iota of this is skill-based matchmaking. It's a skill-based matchmaking is a small portion of their engagement-based model to get you to spend money. Is that right? In my opinion, as a business, you could see that being right because it's about making your shareholders happy. But as a consumer, I feel I'm more important than profit. And I'm not saying that a company shouldn't make money because that's what makes them be able to do the next one. But when you're making billions of dollars, and even without every microtransaction, I feel they would make enough money to be able to produce the next game. You guys let me know in the comments. Maybe come back at another time and let me know. Send me some messages. I'd love to hear more about it. But I'm not a fan of this system that's patented to be able to do this. And Lady J, you're 100% right. It should be a little more fair. And that's all I'm asking for is make games more fair, make games more fun. I understand engagement is important. I'm not an idiot. But I also know that I would like to be able to consistently have the similar game experiences. And I guess as a guy that started out being a shitty player and then has got to where he's not maybe the shittiest player, but not good by any means, it took hard work. It takes a lot of playing. The more you play, the better you will get. That's a fact. But are you working hard to get to a place where you're never going to be able to get because they're looking at your engagement as a monetized thing? You know, I don't know. I don't know the answers to that, but my personal feelings are we as consumers should be holding companies more accountable. And by when I'm saying accountable is they're never going to listen to you until their dollars get turned off. So spend your money as you wish. If you want things to change, stop spending the money on there. Don't give your kids, if you're a gamer yourself and you have kids, don't let your kids just because the neighbor kid did. Appreciate the time. Thank you guys. Sorry for the rant, but people need to understand that it's not skill-based matchmaking, in my opinion. So I appreciate it. I'm going to go play some Call of Duty Warzone. You guys have a great day. Enjoy the holidays. Happy New Year.